My name is Rafael, you watch Rock and Roll Garage, and today I'm going to tell you why Keith Richards is not a big fan of The Who. But first, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment. Well, as you probably know if you're a Rolling Stones fan, Keith is quite sincere, and he really gives his real opinion on other bands and artists, regardless if he likes them or not. And The Who is a band that he already criticized a few times, and as you can see in an interview with Rolling Stone in 2015, he said, "I always thought Roger Daltrey was all flash, and I love Pete Townshend, but I always thought The Who were a crazy band anyway. You would say to Keith Moon if you were in a session with him, just give me a swing." And he couldn't. He was an incredible drummer, but only with Pete Townshend. He could play to Pete like nobody else in the world. But if somebody threw him into a session with somebody else, it was a disaster. There is nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you've got that one paintbrush and you rock it. I just was never really interested in that many English rock bands, actually, at all. I mean, I used to like guys like Johnny Kidd and the Pirates, and that was before I was even recording. But there was something about the Yeses and the Journeys and all them that just left me a bit cold. So that's what Keith said about The Who. And it's interesting because a few years later, Roger Daltrey, who was criticized by Keith, gave an interview to Coda Collection in 2021, and this was his answer to Keith. He said, "You cannot take away the fact that Mick Jagger is still the #1 rock and roll showman up front. But as a band, if you were outside a pub and you heard that music coming out of a pub some night, you'd think, well, that's a mediocre pub band. No disrespect." So that's what Roger said about that. He made this comment when he was talking about Paul McCartney's statement that at the time that he said the Stones were a blues cover band. Paul McCartney said that, but he apologized to Keith after saying the phrase was taken out of context. And of course, Paul was part of their latest album, Hackney Diamonds, as well, so they're in good terms, they're good friends, but Roger, maybe not that much. And as for Pete Townshend is the mastermind behind The Who. He wrote all the music, he's the main songwriter, and he's a huge fan of the Rolling Stones. It's if I'm not mistaken, is his favorite band. He watched them playing live before he was with The Who. He helped to create the Who, and he was the one who inducted them into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And during his speech, he praised the song multiple times, and this is what he said. It was back in 1989. He said, "Keith Richards once told me that I think too much. The truth is that I think that generally I talk too much, but I don't think first. Faced with injecting the Rolling Stones this evening, I realized thinking is not going to help me very much. I can't analyze what I feel about the Stones because I am really absolute Stones fan, always have. The early shows were just shocking, absolutely riveting, stunning, moving, and they changed my life completely. The Beatles were fun, no doubt about that. I'm talking about their live shows. I'm demeaning them in any way. The Stones were really what made me wake up. On the Beatles shows, there were a lot of screaming girls, and at the Stones, were the first to have a screaming boy. The sheer force of the Stones on stage and that perfectly balanced audience, 1,000 girls and me, it kind of singled them out. They are the only group that I've ever really been unashamed about idolizing. So much of what I got from you, the Stones, and I had no idea most of it was already second-handed. No more gags. The Stones are the greatest for me. They epitomized British rock for me, and even though they are now my friends, I'm still a fan." So that's what he said. about the Rolling Stones. As you know, Pete obviously knows that Keith is not a fan of his band, but Keith praised Pete Townshend. He likes him as a guitarist. They're good friends, but Pete is not a big fan of The Who, as you can see. And we already did a video about bands that Keith doesn't like that much. There's a lot of other bands in this list, including Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and you can watch the video here. If you want to read more, go to the description and visit the article I wrote about it, okay? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment. Thank you for watching, and I see you later.